arch repair. Um, what I experience is that when they start clipping the carotids, it goes down, the cerebral oxygenity goes down. But we as anesthesiologists can't do anything but really sound the alarm, but to tell the surgeons like, hey, boys, you're going too far. You know. And then we give Sticoline. Is that good?
Why is it free? So thanks for your question. I think you have two questions there, right? So one, you do have NEARS, no experience. But in the neuro ICU right now, um, it's not yet there. Because we notice when this is just placed at the site, there's numbers, not placed on the head of the patient. So they're still standardizing it, honestly, for me to make comments about the NEARS. That's why it's still not endorsed. Okay, that's one. It will be nice for you to share experience with it. No? To typically, right, the famous question, and since birth, it shouldn't be the first one you will order. Okay, I'm American trained, so I'm not really into neuroprotectants, honestly. But we are Filipinos. We got invaded by everybody else. So the Europeans actually are the ones. But remember, the true neuroprotectant is the physiologic neuroprotectant. It's still blood flow, it's still glucose, it's still oxygen, and that's level one. Citicoline, just put it there. It's at the bottom. It's not even there, honestly. All right.
The evidence with regards to the use of acetylcholine is not actually very strong. So it's still basing on physiology. That's still, we need to maintain adequate perfusion, of course, and also maintain homeostasis. That's what we want to achieve. Um, cerebral oximetry now is being introduced in the OR setting, and it's actually very promising, especially when you do aneurysm surgeries. We need to provide adequate neuroprotection before we go into deep hypothermic arrest. Okay, so a cerebral oximeter will definitely be very useful in that, because during which time there's no pulse oximeter reading. We're just relying on the cerebral oximeter to detect if there is still adequate, what do you call this, activity in the brain in terms of CMRO2. And that proved to be very beneficial. Okay, so what other neuroprotective ways that you can actually do? Start propofol infusion. You know that propofol is neuroprotective. What else? Mannitol. How is propofol neuroprotective? It decreases cerebral blood flow, and it also decreases CMRO2. Okay, and with that, that actually slows everything down, and that can protect your brain. Also, it has an anti-apoptotic effect that can be protective, so those are the things we can do. Others, of course, also remember that oxygen can be neurotoxic. If you give 100% oxygen, it can lead to oxygen toxicity. Okay, so we need to be very careful in dealing with oxygen, okay, because we commonly forget about that. We always say that we should give 100% only when the patient needs it. Okay, so ano pa? Blood sugar should be well controlled, okay, because hyperglycemia can also harm the neurons, okay, so that's something. How about temperature? Okay, temperature in cerebral aneurysm rupture, there is this IHAS trial which already have proven that hypothermia is not beneficial, won't benefit the patient. Okay, So hypothermia can only be beneficial in two situations. One is in traumatic brain injured children, okay? And number two is post-arrest, okay? So those are the two conditions wherein hypothermia is beneficial, okay? So yun lang for now.
Any questions before we end the session? There, Sir Rem.
Doctora, do you have, would you know the probability? Is there a high risk that when the neurosurgeons would ask us to do lumbar drains for the brain to herniate? When we do lumbar drains, is the probability high that the possibility that the patient might herniate?
So that's a very good question, okay? Because more often than not, our surgeons would request for that, and their main reason is because it would be easy for them. But in our situation, we get so nervous, right? Because what are you talking about? But the thing is, lumbar drains have a place, okay, in neurosurgery. The point is, it's better to intubate the patient first so that you can actually control your end-tidal CO2 to a targeted 32 to 38 within that range before you actually do your lumbar drain, okay? So the reason why they insert the lumbar drain is especially for vascular surgeries like cerebral aneurysm clipping, they need to have a window so that they can actually go further down, diba? So before you puncture the patient and do your lumbar drain insertion, check your end-tidal CO2. Make sure that you reach that point before you actually do your lumbar drain. You also have to be careful when you remove yung inner cannula of your catheter kasi yung sudden removal of that catheter and sudden gush of CSF out, that can actually lead to a rupture of your aneurysm. And we don't want that. So you have to be ready that when you pull out the catheter, you're ready to push in your catheter so that you can avoid those things from happening, because the intramural gradient of your aneurysm may change significantly that the patient cannot actually be able to recover.
Yes, Doctora, but having said that, diba, there are some instances wherein the neurosurgeons would order in the chart for us to insert the lumbar drain, but there will be no operation. Bale tayo lang.
Mhm.
So, bale, what I'm getting at is they should be there also, even if they're not going into surgery. We're just going to put a lumbar drain. They should be there also.
Okay.
Just in case that happens, then they're already there. We will not waste time looking for them or for the referral. Then we would be able to set it up quickly if needed.
That is actually true. But remember, there are different reasons for inserting a lumbar drain. One is for ease of exposure of the aneurysm. That's one for surgical reasons. Number two, we also insert it post transphenoidal surgery. That is, kapag nagli-leak yung CSF dito sa nose, there's a conduit where the CSF can actually go to rather than here. So maraming reasons for different reasons for the lumbar drain insertion. Maybe number one, it has to be clear to the surgeon what the reason is why he needs the lumbar drain. Kung surgical, kung aneurysm, dapat talaga nandun siya, okay? Pero if the reason is para for the leak, pwede naman natin gawin yon in a safe setting, meaning we have proper ASA monitors available.
Thank you, Doctor.
Any more questions? Yes.
That was actually an excellent question. But we can be of help. You can ask us to be around. We're neuro ICU people as well. Some techniques, once you place it, also maximize the decompressants, right, before, and then do the neuro exam as well. If you feel that there is increased ICP, and then sedate the patient very well prior to doing the LP. I think that will be a good technique also for safety reasons as well.
Thank you. Questions? Anyway, thank you for attending this afternoon session, and I think it's coffee break.